Hello everyone, this is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 19 of the BoxHard podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined, as always, by Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, on this week's show, there really isn't much to preview or review, or should I say review or preview. There's not really much to do. Last weekend, there wasn't really many fights on. There's a couple that we're going to go over. We're just going to read the result out. There's a tiny bit of news. I say tiny bit of news, it's actually quite big news. And of course, there isn't really much to preview this weekend. So what we thought we'd do to fill the space on this week's show for those loyal listeners that come back every week is bring on three guests this week. So we're going to speak to Dave Coldwell very shortly. He's going to be our first guest on this week's show. He's going to be talking all things about Jamel McDonnell, all things about the eliminator for a world title for Gavin McDonnell, of course, the twin brother, the European champion. And of course, we're also going to be speaking about Tony Bellew and the movie Creed and his newfound rise to fame of all these people that don't even know he's a boxer. They all just think he's this new actor out of Liverpool. We will also be speaking to Billy Dibb, and Billy Dibb will be talking pretty deep about the loss of his wife to cancer in 2015. It was a really bad year for him, and he wants to get back into world title contention in 2016 without any time wasted. Also, we will be speaking to Jamel Herring, who actually had a fight last night. He won unanimously after 12 rounds. He basically, like I say, he won every round. He knocked the guy down twice, and he looked really good, topping his first bill, 15-0. He is now with 8 knockouts. He's signed by Al Heyman. He used to be in the Marines in the USA. He was deployed to Iraq on 2 occasions, and he was one of the captains of the 2012 Olympics USA boxing team. So that's a good interview. He talks a lot about Tyson Fury, a lot about the UK scene. It surprised me how much you knew about the UK scene. So that's the order it's going to be going in. It's going to be Dave Coldwell first, then it's going to be Billy Dibb, and then we're going to end the show with Jamel Herring, fresh off his win last night. Okay, Ayaz, we're going to start with part one, of course. This is, of course, called the review part, where we're going to review some of the fights from last weekend. As I said, there isn't much to review. I'm going to start with something that took place on Friday. This was on, of course, the 5th of February. Ex-opponent of Deontay Wilder, Johan Duhaupas, he was out in a little contest. This took place in Monaco. He won on, 10th round unanimous decision. He fought that tricky guy, Marcelo Luis Nascimento. We've seen him. He's a bit tricky. We've seen him in there with Derek Chisora. We've seen him in there with Eddie Chambers and guys like that. So Johan Duhaupas, 33-3, his new record now. There was a little card, I believe, in USA. Of course, this was in California. Randy Caballero returned back to the ring. He picked up a 7th round retired fighter. So basically, Ruben Garcia, his opponent, retired after the 7th. Garcia was down twice in round 7 and he retired in the corner. So Randy Caballero, El Matador, he's back. His record now 23-0. I can't wait to see him get into that title picture. Frankie Gomez was also on that bill. He moved to 20-0 with a unanimous decision after 10 rounds over Silverio Ortiz. So 2 guys coming up now, of course. Shane Mosley Jr. was also on that card, of course, the son of Shane Mosley. He now moves to 5 wins and 1 loss. It was only a 4-rounder. He won it unanimously. He's at super middleweight, which is an interesting weight. We'll see what he can do there. Unfortunately, there wasn't any boxing on the Saturday. That is due to the shooting that took place in Ireland, of course, at the weigh-in. For those that don't know, I don't know where you've been, but for those that don't know, of course, somebody got shot and killed in the weigh-in that took place in Ireland. The weigh-in was in a hotel. It was, of course, on the Friday, the day before the fight. I think 3 people ran in there with what looked like AK-47s and shot and killed someone. So absolutely devastating scenes there for boxing. Of course, this is very bad negative press that boxing is now going to receive. I'm not going to really talk much about it, and I'm not really going to expand on that. But bad scenes, which ended up cancelling the card that was going to take place on Saturday in Ireland. Of course, we spoke to Jamie Kavanagh on the last show. He was speaking about, fighting. Of course, that was for the WBO European title. So Jamie Kavanagh now is going to have to wait for that shot. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. I don't know if it's going to be getting rescheduled. But after the shooting on Friday, they decided to not go ahead with the fight on Saturday. So that was really the only thing that we were going to be reviewing. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring on our first guest on this week's show. It's the self-proclaimed bucket boy turned trainer, and of course now he's training a world champion, a European champion, and a Hollywood sensation. Of course, it's Mr. Dave Coldwell. Dave, welcome to the show.
How you doing, mate? All right?
How's that for an intro?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. But don't forget my Hollywood sensation's also a European champion as well. Don't forget his boxing achievements.
Of course. You've come a long way, though. That's fair to say, yeah?
Yeah, mate, yeah.
Excellent stuff. Okay, when we last spoke, it hadn't been announced that David Haye was working with Shane McGuigan, and of course it hadn't been announced that Groves was working with him as well. What's your opinion of that little link up there, David?
I think it's a good link up. Shane's a young, dynamic trainer, and he's eager to succeed. Is one of the, it looks at things the modern way as well. So I think it'll be a smooth fit because they're coming from a great trainer like Adam Booth. I think they'll work well together, to be honest.
On the last time we spoke to you, you did give high praise of Adam Booth. Do you think that Shane McGuigan has the potential to be as good as?
Listen, everybody. It's hard to say. All you can say is what people have done, and Shane's done a fantastic job with Carl Frampton. I've never worked up close with Shane. I've met him once. I don't know him or anything. I don't know how he trains fighters or anything. So it's not for me to judge that. I do know Adam Booth, and I've worked up close with Adam Booth, and so I can judge or I can have an opinion on that. Do you know what I mean? And Adam's a great trainer. He's done great things in the sport. And Shane's a young lad coming through, and he's already stamped his authority on the game, and he's already achieved far more than what a lot of trainers who have been in the game for a long time have achieved. So he's doing something right.
Now, what's happening with Jamie McDonnell? Haven't really heard anything about him recently.
Jamie's training really, really hard at the moment. We're just waiting for Eddie to announce his fight. That's basically any time now. He'll be. We've got a date. We're just waiting on sorting out the opponent. And that's down to Eddie because it's Eddie's show. So it's not my place to say when he's going to be fighting. All it is that we've been preparing. Basically, originally we were told that we could possibly fight in out. Al Heyman wanted us back out there end of January, so we was kind of getting ready for that, but we kind of had a feeling that it'd get put back, and so something else has been sorted, and that'll be announced. That'll be announced very shortly. It could be any time really.
Okay, moving over to twin brother Gavin. Gavin, a friend of the show now, he's getting a shot at the silver title.
Yeah.
Is this actually a world title eliminator?
It is, yeah.
It's
an eliminator for the WBC world title that Ayaz got. It's for the silver title, so he gets a nice title with that should he win that, please God. It's a very tough fight. He's fighting a very dangerous opponent. Yeah, we're deep into camp, and we've been preparing well for that.
Because if my memory serves me correct, I believe that James DeGale picked up the same WBC silver title. It didn't really seem to get him that WBC shot.
It might not have been eliminator. The thing is, once you get a silver title, you're in the mix, and it doesn't guarantee you the next shot. That's what a final eliminator is. But you're very, very close. What'll probably happen is we'll have this eliminator, and then we'll get a final eliminator for the title shot, which I would be happy with, because Gavin improved a lot for his last fight. It was a step up in opponent. This is another step up in his opponent. And then I think would like to have another fight after this before going in against Seja. But everything goes to plan. He wins this. He wins the final eliminator. Then he's ready to not go against Seja, but to beat Seja. That's what we want. I mean, it's all well and good getting a world title shot, but we want to be ready to take the title when we get there.
Yeah, brilliant fight Gavin McDonnell's turning out to be. He fights Jorge Sanchez. That's on the undercard of Quigg Frampton.
Yeah.
What do you know about this guy? Because he's got a nice little record, 15-0 with 9 knockouts. All his fights have been in Panama.
Yeah.
Have you seen any footage of him?
Yeah, I've seen one. It's quite funny actually because the only footage we can get hold of, it looks an absolute wrecking machine in. So yeah, he looks very heavy-handed, very heavy-handed. It looks like he really loads up on his shots and wants to do damage on you. So we're preparing for an absolute beast, to be honest. The thing about these guys that are out there, when you don't get much footage, you don't know whether the records are flattering them or whether they are some beast that's about to be unleashed onto the world scene. All you can do is go in there at the absolute best of your ability and ready to encounter whatever sort of opponent you get in there. We do know that the guy's heavy-handed. We do know that he can really, really punch. Technically, there's a few little holes in him there, technically, which we're hoping to capitalise on. And it's going to be a good fight because styles make fights, and this guy's not going to be holding back on anything.
Okay, now a little thing I want to mention on Tony Bellew. Of course, he's become this Hollywood sensation now. Of course, as you said, the European champion as well. I'm actually going to be going to watch Creed tonight, so don't spoil anything. But how good is this? How good is this for his exposure as a boxer?
Oh, it's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. He took me with him to the Manchester Arena a couple of weeks back to watch Kevin Hart live, which was hilarious, by the way. But on going there, on arriving at the MEN, well, it's not the MEN anymore, but on arriving at the Manchester Arena,
Funds for you, yeah.
The Paps spotted him, and they just ran to him, taking all these photos. And all of a sudden, all the fans saw him, and it just became like absolutely nuts. Where everybody was hunting him down for photos, stopping him. It took us ages to get into our boxing arena in the arena, and then coming out, it took us ages to get out the arena because everybody was stopping him. Now you're not just talking about people that know him by name and boxing fans. You're talking about people that only know him from the film, because you'd be hearing people say, "Oh, it's him out of Creed, it's him out of Creed," or it's taken him to another level. I've been fortunate enough to have been around Prince Nassim when he was flying high, and also David Hay when he was flying high. And I can relate this to when we were out in public with those guys, where people just stopping them and swarming all over them, and that's what it was like. I remember going to Hatton Lascano with David A, and once one person spotted him, then that's it. He just got mobbed, and that's how it was for Tony the other night. So it's taken him to another level as far as exposure is concerned and profiles concerned. So that's a good thing, when you're trying to get a world title shot, when you want to make the big money, you've got to be a bit of a commodity for the promoters, and it certainly is that now.
I want to ask you about Ryan Burnett. I don't know how much of a role you play in his career, but I saw a photo with yourself, Adam Booth, Richard Towers. What role do you play in his career?
I just help Adam fight night with him. I'll do his cuts. Me and Adam talk about his career progression and things. We're in touch all the time. And he comes up and spends a week, 2 weeks at a time with us up here for to spar with Jamie and Gavin. He did before the Kameda fight. We've sent Gavin down to spar with Ryan for Ryan's fight, and now Ryan's been back up at our gym for these. They're both fighting on the same night on the 27th. So they've been spending time up here again.
I asked someone this question the other day. Can't remember who it was now, but I thought to myself straight away, I want to ask this question to Dave Coldwell because you're quite elaborate with your answers. It's interesting to hear what you got to say. There's a prospect of a fight happening between David Hay and Anthony Joshua. Who do you think benefits more from a couple of warm-up fights? Is it Hay because he's got to get back at that level? Is it Joshua because he's never been at that level? Who would benefit more if they both had a couple of warm-ups?
I actually think Joshua benefits more by waiting. I think another year on his back, a couple more learning fights, then I think I think he comes out on top in that fight. I think right now as it is, I wouldn't like to say who's going to win right now, to be honest. David A he's a lights out sort of guy. If he lands that shot that Dillian Whyte did, then it had made much more of an impact on Anthony, I believe. It's one of those where Joshua hits hard and fast, and he's a big unit. He could do a job on Hay, but I just think ringcraft, experience against bigger guys as well. I think right now, I think Hay's slightly, possibly slightly got the edge. But the thing about Joshua, why I'm saying is why it benefit him, because he's improving rapidly. And that fight that they just had with Dillian Whyte, I think he'll learn so much from him because he's a student of the game. He's a student of his craft. And he seems to be improving, whether he's knocking out these guys in 1 or 2 rounds or not. He's improving. He goes back and he works to improve all the time. Now he'll have seen the mistakes, seen what happened in the last fight, and he'll be correcting them. Now give him another fight or two, and I think he beats Hay. Right now I think it's 50-50. I do think it's 50-50. I think it's whoever gets off first, really. That's how I see it if they fought right now. But I think if it's in a couple of fights' time, I would favour Joshua a lot more.
What a fight! I really hope it happens and doesn't just disappear like some other big fights.
I think it will. I think it will happen. I just don't think it's it's not next. Obviously not next. But it wouldn't surprise me if it happened at the end of the year. I think at the end of this year, I think Joshua's more than ready for him. I think Joshua would beat him. I'm not sure how good David A is going to be coming back. That remains to be seen. I'm not a fan of him heavier than what than what it needs to be. I think it slows him down, and whereas everybody was going nuts about him in his last fight, you got to look at who he fought, but also you got to look at David himself. He looks very, very big. He looks a little bit too big, to be honest. And I think it's one of those where if it goes a couple of rounds, then he starts to gas.
Yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. Could I get your prediction on the outcome of the main fight on that bill that Gavin's fighting on, Quigg Frampton?
Do you know what? I genuinely don't know. I can see how, and it's not sitting on the fence. I can see how both men win the fight. I've chopped and changed my mind so many times. Originally, and for the last couple of years, I've always thought Frampton beats him. But as the fight gets closer, and I never really knew Quigg. I didn't know what his mentality was like or anything, but he looks a steely sort of character, and he's very, very confident, almost unshakable in his belief, really. And I think that he's the more not stable, but he seems the one that's not being affected by the other the most. I think obviously Frampton's wound up by Quigg, and Quigg got under his skin a few times in the build-up. Whereas Quigg's happy to be in the moment. He seems to be enjoying this, and he seems to be feeding off it. So I don't know. I kind of leaning towards Quigg a little bit at the moment. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. I see how both of them win it. I think if Quigg stands off and tries to box Frampton, I think he'll get beat. I think Frampton's slick and he's a little bit cuter, possibly a better boxer, and he's got he's got dynamite in his hands. But I think if Quigg puts it on him and hands nice and tight and puts it on him, then it'll be interesting. I have got a feeling that Quigg pulls it off, but I genuinely don't know who wins.
Okay, I'm going to pass you over to my partner now. He's got a couple of questions for you. Ayaz, bring yourself in.
Hello, Dave. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. We know Jamie McDonnell's got a loss to Lee Haskins. Now Lee Haskins got the IBF champion. He became IBF. Can we see a unification with Lee Haskins?
Yeah, we'd be up for that. If there's as long as the money's right, then yeah, what you've got to realise is Jamie's on serious amounts of money now per fight. Not no disrespect to Haskins or anybody, but he's one of the best paid fighters in the division. Now, as for the fight itself, Jamie McDonnell then and Jamie McDonnell now are two totally different fighters, and we've spoke about that, and it's a fight that Jamie'd love. If it makes sense, he'd stick around bantamweight for. We're only interested in, after this fight, we're only interested in Piano and possibly a Haskins fight, and then he wants to step up. He wants a winner of Quigg Frampton, and that's where he's headed. But without a doubt, if Eddie can make Haskins for Doncaster, maybe outdoor at Doncaster, it'd be cracking. Then that's happy days. We take that now. We'd take that April 9th. Stick it on Joshua Bill. Would do that there. Whatever. But it's got to make sense financially. And if they fought again, I can't honestly see how Haskins beats him this time.
Okay. Right. Now Mayweather's in the UK. Will you be attending one of the events?
Yes, I am. Thanks to Spencer Fearon. He's invited me down to Cannock on Friday, so I'll be down there. He sorted me a couple of tickets out, so I'm going to take Tony down, Tony Bellew. So I think we're going to head down there on Friday. I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it.
Do you reckon Mayweather will actually come up for a 50th fight or no?
Yeah, of course he will. Of course he will. He's just waiting until those zeros keep adding on to the end of his check.
Right. Last week was a big fight was announced between Amir Khan v Saul Canelo Alvarez. Who do you got on that fight and why?
Do you know what? First of all, I was absolutely gobsmacked. I can't actually remember being as shocked for when a fight was announced as what I was for that fight. I did not see that coming at all. Not at all. And when I got somebody from Sky Sports News rang me about it, and I was just coming out of the gym, so I'd not seen Twitter or anything. And I was like, what? I couldn't believe it. Fair play to him here. Listen, he's been chasing a big fight for the last couple of years, and he's been messed around, by your Mayweathers and Pacquiaos, and he's stuck at it. He's resisted, going the domestic route with Kelbrook, and he's gone his own way, and he's landed an absolute huge mega fight. The only problem is Canelo's very, very good, and he's very, very big. Now, forget about the height, because obviously he's not very tall. He's I think Khan will have the height advantage on fight night. But when you're talking about size, Canelo is very, very big. I had Ryan Rhodes fight Canelo for the WBC title out in Mexico, and when you see Canelo at the weigh-in, you think, do you know what? He's not that big. Then I remember when he got into the ring, we was waiting in the ring for him, and he walked into the ring, and he took his top off, and I just saw the thickness of him. Thickness in the pecs, in the shoulders, on the back. When he turned out, his back was just huge, full. And now you think, well, he must have skinny legs. So you look down at his legs, and he's got huge calves. He's got huge legs. He's just an absolute unit. So, he's going to be massive come fight night. But the problem is there. It's all right giving away size, and possibly, obviously giving his strength away. But you fight a guy that's got a great boxing brain. He's got a very good boxing brain. So it's a very, very tough fight for Amir. It's a very, very hard fight for Amir. But the one thing that Amir's got is speed and movement. The one thing that I would say Canelo struggles on when he's got somebody in front of him is speed and movement. So that's where the interesting thing comes. Is, we've seen it a couple of times in Canelo's career. When guys are giving him movement and they've got sharp punches, he does tend to struggle a little bit. The only problem is the natural size. I think eventually the natural size catches up with me, and I just can't see. I just can't see him being able to have the strength to tie him up, nullify him up close, and then get back out of range without getting any damage. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Amir wins the fight. Right now, it's hard to say when you don't watch people train, But going on what I've seen of them both, I would say it's, for me, unfortunately, it's a very hard night at the office for me. But do you know what? He knows that everybody will be saying that he's going to get beat. You know, he knows that everybody will be saying that he's got no chance, and I think that's half the buzz that he gets out. Because one thing about Amir Khan is, you know, look at the Maidana fight and things like that. He's fought a lot of good names, but he doesn't get the respect in this country as what he should do. You know, we're talking about obviously Jamie not getting respect, but Amir Khan, look at the career that he's had, look at what he's done, and he just does not get the respect that he should be getting. Sometimes I think whether you like somebody personally or not, you should still always give credit to them for what they've achieved. And I think the majority of boxing fans that dish out the hate on Khan, it's because they don't really like him. They don't know him, but they don't like how he comes across, and they don't like what they see on TV of him. So because they don't like him, they don't want to give him respect. They don't want to give him credit for what he's done. You cannot fail to give him respect for what he's achieved in his career. He's had an absolute phenomenal career. You know, he's pulled off some great fights. He's had a couple of losses, but do you know what? When you're fighting, you know, and when you pan out his career in front of you, look at the fights he's had, look at the names he's fought. You know, how can you not say that he's not had a great career? When fighters get wiped out, you know, and the aura's gone about them, 9 times out of 10 they're never the same fighter again. He just got up, picked himself up, got on with it, got on and chased bigger fights, and you know, for me, he deserves the respect of boxing fans, and I hope now with this fight, I hope he gets it, and I would love to see him beat Canelo, because for me, if he beats Canelo Alvarez, it is without doubt one of the biggest wins for a British fighter abroad ever. It outdoes anybody in my lifetime, I think, without a doubt for me.
Okay, in the light heavyweight division, there's the likes of Andre Ward, Sergey Kovalev, and Adonis Stevenson. In your opinion, who wins, Ward or Kovalev?
Ward.
And why?
Because I think he's old school. He's clever. He knows how to nullify people. It's not the fact that he can outpunch people, outfight people, like that. He knows how to take away your strengths, and that's why he's not box office. He's not taken off as an exciting fighter, because I think the way that he wins his fights is by taking your strengths away from you. You know, he knows how to shut you down. He knows how to frustrate you, tire you out physically, and he'll just chip away. I think he's the best out of the three. The only thing that I would say that could see him unravel is the fact that he's not active enough. Kovalev's a monster. He's a monster. But you can hit him. So that always gives Stevenson a chance, because Stevenson's actually harder to hit than what you think. But the level that Kovalev's fighting compared to Stevenson, for me, Kovalev beats Stevenson, Ward beats them all, and that's how I see it.
Yep, thank you, Dave, and I hope you enjoyed the Mayweather event, and I'll pass you back to
Cheers, mate.
Joey.
Thanks a lot, mate.
Okay, Dave, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this show once again. It's been really good hearing your insightful opinions on everything. I wish you all the best for the 27th for the card, including, of course, mate, Gavin McDonnell. And hopefully we speak to you again in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, lads. I appreciate that. It's been a pleasure.
Okay, now, of course, we spoke about the review part of the show where we reviewed the boxing that took place on the Friday and the bad events that took place at the weigh-in on the Friday, which prevented Saturday's show from going ahead. That was an interview with Dave Coldwell. We just spoke to him. We're now going to bring on our second guest, and then we're going to go into part 2, where we're going to give you a little bit of news, and then we're going to end it on the interview with Jamel Herring. So please welcome our next guest on this week's show. Okay, now it's time for guest number 2 on this week's podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former IBF Featherweight Champion of the world, Mr. Billy Dibb. Billy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate that.
No problem. First and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, I'm really starting to pick up the pieces and moving forward with life. Hopefully, looks like I'm going to be fighting on February the 26th, not too far away. So I'm in training camp at the moment. I'm doing extremely well. I'm feeling good, and I can't wait for the night.
Yeah, because of course you were supposed to be on that heyday undercard over in London. What
That's
happened?
right.
How come that fight didn't take place, Billy?
Well, look, man, in hindsight, I think things happen for a reason, and unfortunately, I re-injured a injury that I had just before the Mura fight, which was a broken metacarpal in my left hand. Now, I didn't break it again, but I just I aggravated it, and it was, it was swollen, and I just decided that, it was going to be probably best that I just sit out for that fight. And so that's what I did, and, as I said, everything happens for a reason. I sort of found some really good form after that in the gym, and, and we set up a date on February 26th, and I'm making my comeback to the ring then.
Do you know who you're fighting on the 26th of this month at all?
Yeah, I'm fighting a kid that's from Thailand. He's got a record of 13 wins and 4 losses, and he's a Thai. So, I'm just fighting an international Thai opponent, and he's been against some tough guys, and his last couple of losses have been against undefeated guys. So, he's tested, and, I'm just getting back in the ring, just basically picking up where I left off.
I just want to touch on some of the things that occurred last year. Of course, you fought just the once last year. It didn't go your way. You did just mention it against Mura. Of course, other really horrible stuff happened in 2015. For those that don't know, could you sort of walk us through how 2015 went for you?
Well, basically, look, 2015 started off positively. And, we obviously got the opportunity to fight Takashi Miura for the WBC Super Featherweight World Championship, which was an amazing opportunity, and, shortly into camp, unfortunately for me, I broke a left metacarpal in my left hand, and I broke broke the rib cartilage in my left rib. So, I went into the fight with some injuries, and unfortunately, for me, that basically cost me the fight. I was winning the fight comfortably in the first, say, 3 rounds until I got caught. I got caught with a really good shot. I got back up, and, I wasn't fit to continue. The referee stopped the fight. And, I respect the referee's decision. Everything, the referee sees is, pretty much on the money. So, I was hurt, but I managed to get back up. And then, you come home and you sort of start thinking that maybe it's going to be a little bit, maybe time for me to sort of, give away the sport. I've had a really good run. I achieved what I set out to do, which is become a world champion. I did that in multiple divisions. And I'm going to get married and move on and have some kids and da-da-da-da. And then my wife, Sarah, comes to me and says, I've got cancer, and then so we face this battle with cancer. And then unfortunately, my partner, Sarah, loses her battle with cancer. And 2 months and 10 days after entering the hospital, she died from complications that happened through the cancer. And, I was left pondering and not knowing what to do again with my life. And, I think, I never really announced my retirement. So I just figured, I think boxing is what really makes me happy. And I sort of found my way back into the gym, and I've sort of just been in the gym since Sarah passed away, to be honest. And then when David announced his fight, that he was going to be fighting at the O2 Arena, I was just having a chat to him, and he said, "Do you want to fight on the card?" And I was like, "Oh my God, I'd love to, And David knew my situation, and he was very supportive of it, and so he put me on the card. And then unfortunately, I suffered a little injury, and as I said, in hindsight, things happen for a reason. And I've been back in the gym for a while now, and so we've set up this date on February 26th, and now I'm getting back in the ring, and hopefully looking to put the demons of 2015 and the dark times of 2015 behind me.
Just back to the tragic happenings with your wife. There was a few things I read. I just wanted to confirm directly with you that they actually happened. One of them was that, she was diagnosed just literally 2 months before she lost her battle with cancer. The other one was that I've read something that you were actually sleeping on the hospital floor. Is that true?
Yeah. So basically, after admitting Sarah into hospital, which was she got diagnosed, and then about 2 weeks later we went to hospital, and then 2 weeks and 10 days later, after entering the hospital, she died, and we spent 2 months and 10 days in the hospital every single day, and then Sarah unfortunately fell into a coma, and when she fell into a coma, I wasn't able to sort of sleep. I couldn't sleep. If I went home, because what would happen is the hospital would close at 8:30, and then I'd have to go home. And I was very uneasy about going home, so I couldn't sleep, and I'd be up all night. And then I'd ring the hospital and ask them for like feedback. Has she woken up? And then look, we're really sorry, she still hasn't woken up, but if you can't sleep, you're more than welcome to come in. And I'd go to the hospital at 5 and 6 in the morning and sit there and talk to her and try to urge her to wake up and things like that. But unfortunately, I think Sarah had a choice. I definitely feel that she had a choice, and she chose to go back to her maker. And we live in a world that's full of hurt and hate. And I think she was better than that. She was an angel. She was an angel living on earth, which is like hell. You know what I mean? Like lately, with the things happening in this world, you could imagine this world's just not a very nice place at the moment. And I think she recognised that. And just before she died, I spent the last 5 days sleeping on the floor at the hospital because I promised her that I would be there till the very last second, and I didn't want to leave the hospital and I just wanted to be there. I wanted to hold her hand and let her know that everything was going to be okay, not to be scared,
It's just absolute tragic. I know I've spoke to you myself personally, off of the show, and it's awful. You were set to get married, I believe, in December. Did you push it forward so that you could be married before the further complications?
Well, what happened was that when Sarah was diagnosed, the week that she was diagnosed, it must have been she was diagnosed on a Thursday or a Friday, and I had to talk to her, and I said to her, listen, let's get married. She was like, oh, let's just wait till I get better. And I was like, no, I don't want to wait till you get better. I just want to do it now. I said, I just want to make sure that I'm your husband, and I want to be there for you 24/7. So, and I want that responsibility, and I think that's going to make me a better man. And so then I had to talk to her father, and her father was all for it. And so then we talked about it on Friday, and then on Sunday we got married. So, we talked about it on Friday, got married on Sunday. We just had a family, like a ceremonial wedding at home. We invited all our family, and my family, Sarah's family. We all got together and had this beautiful ceremonial wedding, and I was really, really happy because I was allowed to see Sarah at a very happy point. I made her a very happy woman, and I know that she died a very, very happy girl.
I'm so pleased you did that. That's probably got to be one of the the happiest decisions you've probably ever made. I'm talking for you a little bit, but I'm sure that's probably one of the best choices you've ever made in life.
I'll be honest with you, it wasn't more or less something that I had to think about. It was just like, I got to do this, I just thought like it was the honourable thing to do, A lot of people were like, why are you going to do that for? She's sick. Why do you want to put yourself in that position? I'm like, look, man, what would you do if that was your family? Would you want me to leave your family member? Is that what you're saying? I'm like, you can't be talking like that, I got to do the honourable thing, and I did the honourable thing, and believe me when I tell you this, I got no regrets. And you know what? That girl, we shared something special, and she taught me to be a better person. So I applaud her, and I thank her for that, and she knows, we had a lot of conversations before she passed away, and, even when she was in the coma, I talked to her a lot and let her know exactly how I feel and how much I feel that she's made me a better person.
Yeah, I think it's a brilliant decision that you made. All right, we'll leave 2015 where it is. I just want to ask you, how much will it mean to you to be able to put 2015 completely behind you and start with a nice positive 2016 and a win on the 26th of February?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, look, the truth is that I'll never ever leave 2015 behind me, because Sarah will always be in my mind and in my heart. She'll forever remain a part of my life. The Mura loss, it doesn't bother me. I don't care. Boxing is winning and losing, and after losing your loved one and the person you love, you realize that, boxing is just a sport. Boxing has, I had a great run. I had a great career. And the thing is, it's not over. It's not over. It's far from over. And I believe that February 26th is more than just a fight day for me. The thing is that a lot of people don't know this, but I'm actually doing the fight night at the same venue where Sarah and I got engaged. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I'm doing it on the 26th of February, and Sarah's birthday is on the 25th of February. So, you know, like, there's a lot of reasons why I chose that venue. And to be completely honest with you, it's not about money, it's not about fame, it's not about TV, it's not about lights, camera, action. It's none of that. It's just about feeling like a winner again. You know, it's just about getting back in the ring and getting that winning feeling back. And I know that on February the 26th, I'm going to have an angel on my shoulder, and it's going to take a hell of a man to beat me on that night.
Absolutely. I'm sure it will. This type of thing that's happened, this can sort of do two things. It can make you strive on and almost give you some sort of strength and some sort of added hunger, or it can take something out of you, which no doubt it would have done anyway. But what is your hunger like now going forward with your boxing career?
Well, the truth is that, look, before Sarah passed away, there was one night that I sent her a text message just saying, like, is there anything that I could do for you? You know, does my boxing bother you? You know, do you want me to, like, does it make you feel sick? Because I don't want to do anything that triggers you to make you feel sick. So if boxing bothers you, I'm happy to walk away. And she was like, boxing doesn't bother me. What bothers me is you letting people make decisions for you. And she's like, if boxing is what you love to do, then boxing is what you should do. And don't allow people to make decisions for you, because if Billy Dib's happy, then I'm happy. And when Billy Dib's happy and I'm happy, everyone else is happy. So just do what makes you happy. And so when she said that, you know, and obviously after she passed away, you know, I went through her text messages again, and you read them, and, you know, that sort of resonated for me, and it sort of gave me the motivation to think that, you know what, everything's going to be okay. Boxing is what I love to do. You know, the Mura fight, I was winning the fight comfortably, and then I just got caught, you know what I mean? So that proves that I can still mix it with the best in the world. You know, unfortunately, you know, boxing is one punch and 10 seconds away from disaster, and I got caught. I went down, I got back up. That's just the way the cookie crumbled on that day. But does it mean that I've lost my skill and my ability? No, it doesn't. You know, I'm still a world-class fighter. You know, I've proved that. I'm a former two-time world champion. I've been in there with some good fighters. I've mixed it. I've given it just as good as I've gotten it. You know what I mean? So it's, you know, the future's still bright. And Sarah passing away has given me the hunger to want to do something successful again. You know, and I know that boxing is what brings me happiness, and being back in the ring and you know, working my way back to a world title and winning it in her memory, that would mean something big to me.
I'm pleased to hear that. No, of course you're not. You know, you're not ready to give it up yet. Of course, you've only lost to world champions. You know what I mean? You've got to remember that as well. On to positive things. Since losing your title to Gradovic, we've seen him get, well, schooled, to be totally honest, by Lee Selby. Have you seen anything of Lee Selby? If so, what's your thoughts on him?
Man, I think Lee Selby is an absolute genius in the ring. You know, I got a lot of time for Lee Selby. I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think he's amazing to watch. I love his skill. You know what I mean? I admire his skill and admire his ability. And believe me, there was no one more happy in the world to see him beat Gradovic than me. You know, like it's not that I was never fond of Gradovic. I never liked him as a person. You know, I just disliked his attitude. And believe me when I tell you this, I was a very, very happy man when Lee Selby beat him, because I know that Lee Selby's a great guy and a good kid.
Yeah, I think we've got 12 British world champions at the minute. It's the most we've ever had, so boxing's booming over here at the moment.
Yeah, that's amazing. That really is sensational. It's amazing. You know, you guys have got endless talent, from DeGale, you know, to Mick Khan, to Lee Selby, all these amazing guys, Kell Brook. You know, it really is buzzing over there, and I think boxing is so exciting at the moment for you guys. And
of course, Tyson Fury at the very top.
Man, Tyson Fury is the man. You know, I got a lot of respect for Tyson Fury. He shows a lot of love to the Palestinian people, and you know, my mother's Palestinian, so I'm half Palestinian, man. So you gotta love that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, of course, we're now seeing you fight at Super Feather. Is this a weight that you're going to be staying at, or will we see you move up or down?
No. Look, for now, I'm going to stay at Super Feather. You won't see me move down, that's for sure. But you may see me move up. You definitely may see me move up. But I mean, that's not going to be anytime soon. I'm just going to take it fight by fight, round by round. This is the plan. The plan is to take it round by round, fight by fight, win by win, and hopefully work my way back into a world title fight. You know what I mean? You guys, to the fans out there, I really appreciate all the amazing support and all the great messages that I got, throughout my career. You guys have really, really showed me a lot of love, and the British fans are something special, man. Sometimes I wish I was British because I love the way the British fans are.
Yeah, no. On behalf of all the British fans, I thank you for that lovely compliment. Last two things I've got for you now, Billy, is there anyone that you'd like to fight in the near future? I know that you're just sort of getting back into it with a fight this month, but without overlooking anyone, of course. Is there anybody you've got your eye on?
Honestly, I haven't thought about it. To be honest with you, I haven't really thought about it, but I'm sure that sooner or later I'm gonna want to fight some of these guys and try to capture a world title. But at this stage, I haven't really thought about it. I just, believe it or not, it's just about capturing this first victory, and I don't know what's going to happen after that. As I said to you, it's one fight at a time, one win at a time, and it's just about finding that happiness back in the gym again.
Yes, of course. And the last question I'm going to ask you, I ask this to all boxers from around the world. Who is your favourite, past or present, UK, so British fighter of all time?
Oh my God, that goes without saying, man. Prince Naseem is not just a legend in my eyes, but this Prince Naseem and I share an amazing friendship, an amazing brotherhood. He was my childhood hero as a youngster, and I got to meet him, and he and I have shared an amazing friendship for the last, since I was 17 years of age. I'm 30 now, so we've been friends now for many, many years. And Prince Naseem, I believe, is one of the greatest all-time Brits to ever come out of Britain. He's just an amazing talent, and you know what? Thank God that he finally got inducted into the Hall of Fame, because there's no one in British boxing that deserves it more.
Absolutely. Everybody says that. Whenever I ask it, they all say Prince Naseem. Don't matter who they are, they all say Prince Naseem.
Come on, man. He's the number one entertainer in the world. Best fighter in the world, best entertainer in the world. He took boxing to a whole new dimension.
He sure did. Okay, Billy. If there's any messages to any UK fans, please let us know.
I just want to say thank you so much to all the UK fans for all the love and support. I wish that I could have been out there and fought on a David Haye undercard. It's very unfortunate that the injury occurred, but as I said, things happen for a reason, and God willing, before my career is over and before the lights go out, I pray that God allows me to have another opportunity to come to the UK and showcase my ability.
Yeah, that would be absolutely fantastic. We welcome you with open arms. Okay, well, Billy, thank you very, very much for giving us a bit of your time. Of course, I hope that you get a big win, and I hope that you bounce back and get into that world title picture. And I just want to thank you for opening up and talking about some of the hurtful things that occurred last year. And I hope that you very soon, your spirits are lifted and you go on to get yourself some more happiness in life.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. I appreciate you allowing me to be on this amazing podcast. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, Billy. My pleasure. Take care.
Man, you take care.
Okay, now it's time for part two. A very deep and emotional interview that with Billy Dibb. He really sort of, told us some stuff that a lot of people don't know. So he really opened up. So really deep interview. That's probably the deepest interview we've had on the podcast, but all credit to Billy Dibb for being able to open up to us and talk to us like that. I wish him all the absolute best. We're going to talk about a little bit of news now on this part of the show. We're now in part two, of course. Ayaz, there's a little bit of news today that the lightweight, of course, the West Ham supporter as well, of course, that first and foremost, I think, Kevin Mitchell retiring from the sport. What does this mean to British boxing? Because, of course, he was an out-and-out warrior, and there's no two ways about it.
I mean, it's going to be a loss, obviously, to the division, because, in my opinion, I reckon Kevin Mitchell was a warrior. His last fight, I mean, he got knocked, wasn't he? Didn't he get knocked out to Ishmael Barroso?
Yes, of course, yeah, he did get knocked out by Ishmael Barroso, which was pretty devastating. I mean, Barroso was a bit of an unknown quantity, but he actually, ultimately, he stopped Kevin Mitchell with a jab. So, I know that we don't really know too much about Barroso, and we didn't know anything about him before he came over here. But, maybe, no one knows more than Kevin Mitchell does himself about his body and his hunger for the sport now. Of course, we've seen him in the world title fights that he is, underperformed in, and he's been unlucky in as well. Actually, that's the main thing. His loss to Jorge Linares was pretty unlucky. So unfortunately, he's decided to call it a day. It's of course a big loss to British boxing nonetheless. A real warrior, a real exciting fighter. There's also another piece of news. David Haye was tweeting about Anthony Joshua and his opponent being announced. He claimed that the fight was a done deal between Anthony Joshua and Charles Martin. I don't know if there's any truth in this. I sent Charles Martin a text. He didn't really confirm nor deny that anything was ongoing or anything was going to be signed in the next few days. Eddie Hearn has responded by saying that nothing's been signed, but it'll be interesting to see that, because I don't think they're going to throw him in that fight, Ayaz, at this particular stage. What do you think? Everyone thinks he would beat Martin, but what do you think in your opinion?
I reckon he beats Martin as well. In my opinion, Martin's last fight against Glasgow, I wasn't really impressed on him.
Well, he was sort of winning every round. Well, he was kind of winning every round, and then next thing you know, it was like a freakish injury that that stopped the fight, and he won. Obviously by TKO. It's a bit harsh, but that's what happened. So, it's definitely. Is it fair to say it would definitely be Anthony Joshua's toughest test to date, though? You'd put him above the likes of Dillian White, of course, right? Would you put him above Dillian White?
Yes. Oh, yes. I'll put him above Dillian White.
Yeah, absolutely. So it would be a tough fight for Joshua, but you know what? Credit to him if he does jump in that fight. Credit to him if he gets in there and manages to beat Martin. Then it's amazing. If he gets in there and loses to Martin, it's a disaster. So we're going to see what happens in that fight. But there's another piece of news I believe that you've got for us, Ayaz.
Gennady Golovkin will be fighting Dominic Wade on Saturday, April 23rd.
Yeah, another fight. A lot of people, of course, were sort of their mouths were watering to see who Golovkin was going to fight next, and now it's been announced as Dominic Wade. To be totally honest with you, not someone that I know too much about, Dominic Wade. I know that he's got a decent record. He's 18-0, 12 of those 18 wins by knockout. On BoxRec, he's ranked 11th in the world. That's at middleweight, of course. And, it'd be an interesting fight. Look, the guy got a split decision win over Sam Solomon, who's an okay fighter, someone that, was a world champion recently. But Sam Solomon was knocked down in round 4 of that fight. So, look, the guy's fought a few guys. No one really of note, to be honest. Like I say, his biggest win was against Sam Solomon. So a lot of people are seeing this, that Golovkin's just going to absolutely smash him. But, you never know. But, it's good to hear that Golovkin will be fighting, and hopefully he'll be quite active this year. Of course, he's been very active in the recent times. Is there anything else, or are we going to move on to the preview part?
Move on to the preview part.
Okay. Again, as I said, there's not much that's happening in the preview part. In France, there's a card on Saturday where Christopher Abras is fighting. He's at the moment 23 wins, 4 losses and 3 draws. He fights only a 6-rounder in super middleweight division. It's actually a smart move, I think, by Christopher Abras. Of course, we're going to see Abras face Rocky Fielding in the near time. I believe that's maybe in April. I think that is. There's a big show in Liverpool, and that he's going to be on that card facing Rocky Fielding. So he's chose himself to get into a 6-rounder. So a little warm-up fight for that fight, which I think is quite a smart move. There's a card in Mexico that features Marco Antonio Periban. He faces Jose Torres. Marco Antonio Periban, 23 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw, and Jose Torres, 31-7. Another little card I'm going to mention, and this is the last card, the last fight, should I say. Dmitry Chudinov, this is the guy that lost to Chris Eubank Jr. Dmitry Chudinov, 17 wins and 1 loss. That one coming, of course, to Chris Eubank Jr. 2 draws. He's in an 8-rounder against a guy called Marat Kazeev, who has a record of 22 wins, 10 losses, and 1 draw. I actually think Dmitry Chudinov's a good fighter. I think he's durable as well. We saw all the punches that Eubank threw on him, and it just didn't seem to move him at all. He was really tough as nails. But, hopefully in the future he can emulate what his brother's doing right now. Of course, his brother's got a massive fight against Felix Sturm coming up, I believe on the 19th of February. I could be wrong, but I think it's the 19th or the 20th of February. His brother, of course, Fedor Chudinov. So it'll be interesting to see what those two brothers can do. Okay, now that's all the talking done. We're now going to bring on our third guest on this week's show. Fresh off his win from last night's Tuesday night card on PBC, it's Mr. Jamel Herring. Jamel, welcome to the show.
How you doing? Great to be here.
No problem. My pleasure. Of course, you was in there last night. Thank you very much for speaking to us so close after the fight. You fought a guy called Luis Flores. It was a tough fight. Like I told you, I tuned in, I watched it. It finished pretty late over here. It actually finished pretty late over there. How come the fight finished so late?
Oh, I don't know. I guess it all came down to the TV networking and programming. But I was just excited to get in the ring, so I didn't really mind at the time.
Absolutely. Now you seem to sort of boss it completely. I know that. I believe 2 judges gave it a shutout. One of them was a bit more lenient towards Flores. You knocked it well. You got 2 knockdowns. This is a good showcase fight. How does it feel for you to, completely top a bill for the first time of your 15-fight career now?
Oh, it felt great. It felt great. I mean, it showed that Al Haymon has confidence in my ability. So the headline, my first card, not to mention it was my first time being on the PBC brand. It was a great honor.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it definitely does show the faith that Al Haymon does have in you. I want to touch on a few things because a lot of people over here at this moment in time, Jamel Herring's not a household name at the moment. For those that don't know, could you tell us a little bit about your extremely colourful life just before boxing?
Before boxing, I was raised in New York, Long Island, New York. Basically a small town called Coldwell, New York. I had a great family, great friends, lovely environment. I believe when I actually did start boxing, it was kind of short because I did maybe about 2 years of amateur boxing before I had enlisted into the United States Marine Corps out here in the States. And in the Marine Corps, I did two deployments to Iraq, one in 2005, another in 2007. And it really wasn't until like maybe 2007, after my last deployment, when I really started getting more involved with my boxing career.
Yeah, because a lot of people don't know that. I mean, of course, that you were deployed to Iraq with the Marines on 2 occasions, and a lot of people don't know that. Of course, you were the captain, I believe, of the 2012 USA boxing team at the Olympics.
Yeah, yes, sir. I was one of the captains alongside with Rashid Warren and Queen Underwood were the other 2 captains. My experience out in Olympic Games was rough. I lost the first round, but I actually had overall I had a great time in London. And since then, I actually been looking forward to find a way to go back over there to compete someday. So I enjoyed just basically the experience of the Olympic Games with the rest of my teammates.
Yeah, because you fought quite a few guys in amateur. Of course, you fought. I believe you got a win over Mike Reed, he's basically a prospect right now in America, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so a few good wins in the amateurs. There was a few guys that were at your fight last night. It was quite a few guys. I think Steve Cunningham was there, Danny Garcia, Adrien Broner, of course. I hear that you're doing a lot of sparring with Adrien Broner. Tell me how that's going.
It's going well, especially getting in the ring with somebody who has a lot more experience than you. It's great. It's great because I can feed off of whatever he's doing and learn and pick up a few things and add it to my arsenal. Overall, he's a great guy. Even though his character, people judge him for his character at times, but when you get to meet the real Adrien, you'll see that he's a great guy and he's like a brother to me.
What other types of guys have you done some sparring with Jamel?
I actually done some sparring with another top prospect, Robert Easter Jr.
Okay.
I spar with Raynell Williams, who's also on the card last night.
Yeah.
In the past, I sparred with both Anthony and Lamont Peterson out in DC. I'm very close with them as well. And at times, depending on what type of fight is building up ahead, I spar with Rashid Warren to help him, get ready for his fight. So overall, I've been there with a lot of good guys. Not to mention, I also spar with Austin Trout a few times in the past as well.
Yeah, Austin's someone we've had on the show. We've had on the show previously. Yeah, good friend of the show. So you definitely mix it with some of the biggest names in the sports when it comes to sparring. Adrien Broner's got a big fight coming up against Ashley Theophane, he's a London boy. He's basically in America most of the time now. How do you see this fight going for Adrien Broner?
It's a good win. It's a fight he can win. Not to take Ashley lightly, because I know Ashley is hungry right now. This is his chance for a world title, so I'm pretty sure he's going to take full advantage of it. But of course, I'm going to stick behind my stablemate, which is Adrien Broner, and I see him winning this fight.
And something I just wanted to touch on, actually, a little back to what we were just talking about a moment ago. What actually inspired you to box?
What inspired me to box was something different. It was just something different at the time when I started boxing. Because for the most part, I grew up playing a lot of team sports. And yes, boxing is actually still a team sport, because you still need your trainers and everybody around you. But it was just, and I just felt like when you're in the ring, it's more of a mental thing. It's a thinking game. So you gotta basically do a lot of things on your own inside that ring. So once I started getting the hang of boxing and I fell in love with the training and everything, I just stuck with it.
Because obviously you turned pro when you were age 26, I believe?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Now, of course, like I know it's just literally one day after your fight last night. It's not even really been a full day yet. But is there anyone you've got your eye on for your next couple of fights? Anyone that you want to face in your division?
It's funny that you ask, because in the past I said that I have a lot of respect for the UK fighters, and a good portion of the titles are actually over in UK. And much credit to the UK for producing great champions like Terry Flanagan. Anthony Cola is a good champion. He had a impressive performance his last outing. I know I had some words in the past with Gary Matthews, but as we all know, he's going to take on Terry Flanagan. I'm just basically just weighing on my options, but I do have my eyes set on a couple of guys over there, as you see. But like I said, I respect them all, and they're all great in their own way, and hopefully someday, I can step in the ring with one of the guys.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that you know what's going on over here in that division. Are you aware of one of our lightweights, of course, Kevin Mitchell?
Oh yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I believe I just read something recent. I think did he retire? Did he say I think
that's right. Just today. Jesus, you really are up to date with all the news.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like that. As you see, there goes the answer right there. I do keep my eyes open for everybody. I'm just basically just waiting on my moment, because when my moment comes, you may not know what may happen, because boxing is just so funny at times. Like, titles change hands very quickly in our sport. So we'll just have to see what happens. But like I said, I got a lot of respect for the guys over there in UK. I'm actually I know you guys have another prospect that I actually fought in the amateurs, which by the name is Josh Taylor. So
okay,
yes, much credit to Josh. He's a great guy. But so yeah, I don't just focus on what's going on here in America. I focus on all the top names and prospects coming up and out there. And I was actually matter of fact, his name just slipped my mind. You have a top prospect that had just recently lost.
Yeah. Luke Campbell.
Yes.
Olympic gold medalist.
Yes. Luke is I believe, I actually reached out to him on Twitter. I just told him to keep his head up. I believe he, one loss doesn't ruin your career. I believe he can bounce back. Like I said, I just wish the best for him. He has a lot of he's a good talent. He's a great talent. So I wish the best for him. And like you said, you never know. Maybe down the road we might end up meeting. But like I said, much mutual respect for the guys of UK. Anthony Joshua is making a lot of noise in the heavyweight division. So yeah, even not just my division, but I'm just a fan of boxing as a whole, and I admire everything that's going over there in the UK.
I tell you something that you may or may not know. Luke Campbell has just recently changed his trainer to the same guy that trained or trains Rigondo.
Okay.
So that would be an interesting link up. All I was trying to do is just trying to tell you something that you may have or may have not known, just because you keep telling me stuff that you do know.
Yeah, that's you got me there. That's actually new news to me.
Okay, one thing I do want to ask you. I ask this to everyone that we speak to, no matter what country they're from. Who is your favourite? This is just one that we like to hear. Who is your favourite UK fighter of all time?
Of all time? Let me think. I would have to say Lennox.
Lennox. Okay, the second time we've had Lennox. Most of the time we get. Go on.
What do y'all need to get? Because I was going to actually my second guess was going to say my second one was going to be Nigel Benn.
Nigel Benn, right? We've had that once before as well. The main one we get, Prince Nassim Hamed.
Oh yeah,
everyone says him.
Oh my, yeah, Prince was special in his own way. But the reason why I went with Lennox because growing up and in history, the heavyweight division was mainly the division I always watch, and I respect the fact that Lennox was basically the last undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. And Lennox was basically he showed great character. Like he showed you didn't have to be have to have the perfect record with 0 defeats in order to be a great champion. Lennox took a couple of defeats on his record where he bounced back in great fashion as a true champion would. So Lennox will always stick out as one of the best champions, period. Doesn't matter if UK or wherever, just in the world, period. Lennox will always be one of the best.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Of course, Lennox Lewis had the 2 losses, and he avenged those losses to the guys. Of course, he lost to Hassim Rahman, and then he come back and knocked Hassim Rahman out. And of course, he lost to Oliver McCall in that really strange fight. And then he come back and got the stoppage over Oliver McCall. I think only him and one other guy who has slipped my head at the moment were the only 2 heavyweight champions of history to basically go through their whole career without losing. But when they did lose, they avenged their defeats. I think it was him and maybe one other guy, but I can't remember who the other guy was right now.
Yeah, I will. But I will say, just one more thing. I will say, though, I don't care what nobody says. You guys have actually one of the most colorful fighters that I like, which is Tyson Fury. I was rooting for Tyson against Klitschko. Now, Vladimir is a great champion. No matter how people portray the division that he was controlling, but I just felt like Tyson Fury is a great change for the just for not only for the division but for the sport of boxing. So I was behind him that night. And I just like watching Tyson. He may not be the best technical fighter, but he surely does know how to put on a show.
Yeah, he definitely is a real entertainer. Okay, before we sign you out of the show, of course you've blown me away with how much you know about what's going on in the UK scene. A message to any UK fans listening. I just want you to give them your you can thank them for any support or whatever, and also give them your Twitter names and your Instagram names, somewhere where we can follow you over here.
Okay. Oh yeah. Most definitely. I actually have a good, decent following in the UK, and that's why. That's one reason why I love everything that's going on over there. I always reach out every time a UK fan reaches out to me. I always respond, and a lot of them want me to come back to the UK to actually compete someday, which I don't mind doing. that's why I say, if it comes down to, fighting one of the champions over there, I have no problem traveling overseas. Plus, like I said, I had a great time in 2012 in the UK, and I wouldn't mind going back. But if anybody wants to ever reach me, you can reach me on Twitter or Instagram at Jamel Herring, all one word, real short and simple. And, I just greatly appreciate everybody for their support.
Okay, thank you very much for coming on this show. On behalf of all the English fans, I thank you very much for the kind words. We wish you the absolute best for 2016 and a bright future ahead of that here on the BoxHard podcast. So it's been my pleasure interviewing you today, sir.
It's been my pleasure being on the show.
Okay, now it's time to conclude episode 19 of the BoxHard podcast. Once again, my apologies that there isn't really any fights to review or preview. We've decided in that case to bring you 3 guests. Of course, a big thank you to our guests, Dave Coldwell, Jamel Herring and Billy Dibb. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Summer has been Ayaz Summer. It's been an absolute pleasure bringing you another show of the BoxHard podcast. Please follow, please retweet, please favourite, please like. We'll see you next week. Take care.